In this video, I'm going to be sharing how to animate a thumbs up emoji for Lottie that you'll be able to use in any website or mobile app. Hey there, my name is Issei and I'm an animator. Today I'm going to be animating an emoji I created in Illustrator and hopefully inspire you to make one for yourself. Now I don't have anything pre-planned, I'm just going to record as I go and we'll see where we end up, but you'll be able to see my real workflow. This way, I'll try and explain as much as I can as I go to make this helpful for you guys. If I do miss anything or if anything's unclear, feel free to leave a message in the comments section and I'll make sure to explain as best I can. All right, let's get into it. All right, so I have this emoji here in Adobe Illustrator. I have a bunch of layers open. This isn't too important, but what I basically did is I separated different gradients to different layers. I don't have any groups in here. I'll just go ahead and toggle all of my layers so you have an idea of the construction behind this emoji. I've basically been playing around with gradients quite a bit with Lottie to see to what extent we can move away a bit from flat icons or flat emojis into something that's a little closer to 3D, but that's not really 3D. So that's what I'm doing with this emoji here. So I'm going to be animating in After Effects. To export from Illustrator to After Effects, I have this Overlord plugin that's open. If you're unfamiliar with this plugin, I do actually have another video that explains how to export or how to transition from Adobe Illustrator to After Effects with this plugin. So I recommend you go check that out if you're interested. Now, before I export to After Effects, I am going to open a new composition, and I believe the size that I used was 2000 by 2000 pixels. Now in terms of duration, let me think for a second. If I do this, okay, that's about 3 seconds. So I'm gonna do 4 just to be safe. And as for the background, I like to keep it like a medium gray, not a fully white, so I can see the highlights and I can see the darks. Now we do need to give a name to this composition. I'm going to call it Thumbs Up. I'm not going to have many compositions in here, so it doesn't really matter too much what I call it. In terms of layout really quickly, if you're interested, I don't really need this thing. I'm just going to close that. But I have my project panel here. On the left, I have my composition. In the middle, that's the most important. That's the biggest thing I want to see. I have my timeline down here, and what I like to do is to squeeze it up and down when I need to open up all of the layers and all of the keyframes, and then everything else like a line and like character stuff, I have it all to the right here so it doesn't bother my timeline when I move things up and down. Alright, back to Illustrator now. I'm going to be selecting everything and export to After Effects. So Command A to select everything, click this Overlord transition button. And so the first thing I usually do is I check if everything has exported correctly. Now what I'm looking for in particular are gradients, because I do find that sometimes transferring gradients are a bit of an issue. I do think that I've spotted some of them. So I already know how I've constructed my emoji and I have a bit of an idea of which ones might go wonky. What I've done is the top layers are the finger part of the hand. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn those off because those are looking pretty good. So now I'm pretty much left with just the underlying hand and thumb part. So I'm going to name my layer so I have a bit more visibility as to what's going on. I'm gonna probably fast forward this because this is probably a little boring for you. So before I go in and rename all of my finger layers, I'm gonna take care of that later. I'm going to go in and check my gradients on the shapes that do have gradients right now. So to do that, I select a layer with a gradient. I go down to contents and then gradient fill. I just need to select it. And what I'm looking for, I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see a little better. What I'm looking for are these 2 points. So this one, this blue point here, and this one. And I'm going to compare in my Illustrator file. Let me toggle off those useless finger layers there. I'm going to lock my layers and I'm just gonna unlock the one that I need to inspect. And see, this is how the gradient points are supposed to be, whereas in After Effects they're horizontal. And this one is too much to the center. So you've seen me do this in my last video where I showed you how to export from Adobe Illustrator to After Effects, and how to fix gradients. So I'm gonna fast forward over that, but basically I'm just using guidelines to find my points and readjust them. You could just probably watch and you'll get a good sense of what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and export these guidelines to After Effects. Now that I have them here, I can go ahead and redrag these points. We've fixed it for that layer. I'm going to go ahead and fix it for the 2 other layers. Let's go ahead and see if there are any issues there. Alright, so I fixed the gradient issue, but now looking at what I've done with the thumbs up shapes, I realized that I've been using blend mode, and I don't believe blend modes are supported in Lottie at the moment. So basically you'll see here, I've been using multiply and screen modes on these shapes. Now, so what I do to fix that, the fastest way, this is kind of a dumb solution, but the fastest way that I found is take a screenshot, color pick the color from there, and then re-import it to After Effects. So I'll show you. I just go Command-Shift-4, take a screenshot of this because I need it to be rasterized. I need it to be pixelized. So I drag that picture in After Effects here. We'll see how that is more orange and how this is more pink. So I'm gonna go ahead and select that color basically. There, that's more orange. So let's go to this one. Gradient, and select this pink color. And I'm gonna go ahead and select that more orangey tone. And so now that I've done it once, I have the correct hex code here, which is what I'm looking for basically. So I just copy that and then I just paste it where I need it. So I went in and fixed most of the gradient issues. I also renamed all of my layers, as you might have seen. Now I'm going to color code them very quickly. This way it's going to be a lot more easy for me to animate if I know what color means what. So I'm going to assign a color depending on what part of the hand it is, and the parts that will need the most animating, I'm probably going to use a color that's a lot brighter. Usually I use something like fuchsia or cyan. Alright, so everything that is finger related, I colored it peach. I made sure that the ones containing the thumb, because I'm going to be animating that they're a popping out color, so I used cyan. The yellow parts of the wrist and the hand, I might animate that since it might go like this, so I pop those yellow since they're actually yellow colored. And I need to pay attention to that little fold. I need to make sure that that's going to be parented to something, so I made that pink. Okay, last step before I go in and move anything, we need to make sure that everything is parented to the right shape. So I'm going to make sure that the fingers are parented to the hand and that the hand can move from the wrist. So I'm going to need to make sure that the rotation anchor point is going to need to be here. And the other thing I'm going to do is you'll see I'm going to create a null that allows me to move the hand up and down independently of any of the shapes. And then lastly, for the thumb, I'm anticipating that just this movement isn't going to be enough. We're going to need, you know, the thumb to do a bit of this. And for this, we're going to need to move the path points. Okay, so quick recap on that. I have my hand null here, and you'll see that so this is my palm base. I should probably call it palm. And I have all of these fingers, shadows, parented to this palm. And I have my wrist shape here. So if I go ahead and take my palm and I rotate it, see it rotates independently from my wrist. And if I rotate my wrist, it rotates independently from the palm. And then both of these two are parented to this null here, which allows me to move around the hand as well as rotate the hand. And what I'm probably going to even do is I'm going to move the anchor point. So I centered it to the center of the wrist, which is close to where that palm is. So now if I were to rotate it, the thumb's going to go like that, which is kind of the movement that we want, right? That kind of makes sense. And then very, very last thing, just because we have a lot of layers here that I'm not going to need to animate, I'm going to want to make sure I don't see them. I want to hide them. So instead of pre-composing, which we don't really need here, I just need to hide them. So you can use this tool here. I'm not sure what it's called. It says hides all layers for which the shy switch is set. So yes, it's called the shy switch. And you'll notice that next to each layer, if you have these controls on, by the way, if you can't see these controls, you can just right click here next to layer name and make sure that switches is toggled on. But once you see it, you'll see that there's this little guy here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to toggle that for all the layers that I don't need to see. I'm gonna make sure that these I can see and this one I don't need to see. Once I toggle the shy toggle, they've disappeared. So they're still there, I can still toggle them on and off. It's just that I'm not gonna mess those up. So now you see it's a little cleaner. We only have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, a bunch of layers. Okay, let's get into animating now, the fun part. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this bounce movement because I want my animation to just go up, down, and notice the see that speed? I'm gonna try and imitate that before even doing any of this and any of that. I'll keep this probably last. So let's get the hand null, open up position and rotation. Shortcuts for that are P for position, and then hold Shift R for rotation. I'm going to create a keyframe at the beginning. So this is going to be my starting point, and then it's going to go up. So probably around, let's start with the 1 second mark. And I'm going to hold Shift here and go the down arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Let's try 12. And then I'm going to go to the 2 second mark. Copy that first original keyframe. I'm going to trim this down and hit spacebar and see. I'm just going to lower the quality because it's taking quite a bit of time to render. There we go. Rendering. Okay, as you can see, that's moving way too slow. So let's bring it down by a half point. Let's try that. So before I go easing, I want to add a little bounce as well. So before it goes up, it's going to go down a bit, then up. See that? Down, up. It's anticipation. And then when it lands back down, it's going to overshoot a bit and then bounce back into place. To move frame by frame, you can just hold command and then right or left arrow. If I zoom in, you'll see better. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I've moved 4 frames. I'm gonna go down 1, 2. So it goes whoop. That's actually not even enough. Probably because my composition is way too big, so that's good. Instead of 4 frames, that's too fast, so I'm going to add 4 more frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Add 2 more frames if you want to move now. So if you want to move your playhead, this is your playhead. If you want to move your playhead from frame by frame, you go command right and left arrow. But if you want to move your keyframe, say I want this keyframe to move to 10, I hold option and then right or left arrow. Really useful shortcuts. Now let's do the bounce. So I know that this is my 0 position, right? So I'm going to move that to, let's say, I don't know, here. I'm going to remove these around anyway, so it doesn't really matter what number I'm setting them to right now at the moment. So I'm going to copy that last keyframe and I'm going to overshoot it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Copy that keyframe again. That last keyframe. So I did 6, so I'm going to divide by 2, so 3. So this is a 6 shifts down from the ending position. This one is 3 shifts up, and then this one is 0. Let's see. All right, let's add some eases because it needs some speed variation. So with just a standard ease in, ease out, this is what it's looking like. I'm going to go ahead and start working on the anticipation first. So I'm going to want it to go something like See, it goes It stays longer down here. And then See what I mean? So I don't know if I'm explaining this well at all. So I'm gonna give it some time to slow down when it goes down here. And I'm also gonna speed this one up a little. Okay, that's way too fast. I'm also gonna bring this here so I can just loop this part, which is the beginning. Okay, I want this to last a little longer. Moved it 4 frames forward by holding option right arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, because I need that to last a little longer. So basically I need it to move slowly up, and then when it lands up there, I'm gonna need it to stay quite a long time before going down. And what I'm probably even going to do is I'm going to create a hold frame. So what that means is once my thumb is going to go up, it's going to hold there and then ease back down. Instead of going up and then already starting to go back down, I need it to hold there for maybe 2 frames. So I'm going to copy that top position, move forward 1, 2 frames. And then this first frame, I'm going to right click it and toggle hold frame. So you see how it's changed to that. It's basically holding on this side between this frame and then this frame. And if you go here, you'll see it's like a flat line there. And so what I do is I keep looking at that movement and repeating it. Also, this circle thing is really bothering me. I'm gonna fix that right now. See how this the borders of this gradient are going way out. Yeah, that's a little better. See, you can't see the edges of the gradient anymore. So it looks more like a shadow. Can't really tell that it's a circle there. Let's go back to animating. Where were we? We were here. If you want to bring up your keyframes, use the U shortcut, keystroke shortcut. Okay, I want that movement down to be even faster. So I need it to look more like a even higher peak. And I actually find that a lot of human movements, maybe I'm not sure if this is true, but from my little average medium experience in animation, I've noticed that a lot of, especially when it comes to stuff that's related to clicking on screens or human movements, like a finger that moves and hand movements, I find that this shape of easing works a lot of times. So if you're like moving one, you know those circles that we use to indicate where your finger or your cursor is when you're doing like an iPhone demo or an iPad demo? I find that that usually goes, whoo, you know, it usually follows this pattern. Okay, so actually I don't want it to hold it there that long. So I'm gonna... Okay, for now we're gonna keep it to that. I'm going to add a rotation to this null as well to give more of that boom, boom movement. Do these sounds make any sense? I don't know. So duke, 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 duke. See that? Let's rotate it by 4 and then let's do -4 here. See how that looks. Okay, let's add some easing to those. Rotation keyframes. Give a bit more hold there on the anticipation. And as it goes up, make it a little more springy. Okay, gonna move on to when it comes back down. So it stays that way when it rotates. I'm gonna add a hold frame. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hold frame here for rotation. Right click, toggle hold frame. So as it comes down, it's going to rotate downwards. And then we want this 4 to eventually end at 0, right? Since 0 is our endpoint. So I'm going to divide that by 2, which is 2. So it goes 4 to 0. Just like we had the position, it was 6 shifts, 3, 0. Make sure you save, by the way. I just saved my file. Always keep saving as much as you can. I just keep repeating it, but seriously, keep saving. Okay, so I find that that is a little too... The rotation is a little too springy. I find that with rotation, you really want to be as subtle as possible. It usually looks a lot better. So what did I do? I did 3 and then 1.5, 0. And I'm going to go a little softer on the easing too. Actually, that 1.5, I'm going to bring it back to 1. And let's see. Okay, see what I've done towards the end. If you look at my rotation easing, let's see. See how at the end it just slows down? That's more natural because your hand is going towards 0. So it's like, ooh, slowing down towards the end. That's the way that I think about it. And this is what we end up with. Now that is still too springy on down, so I'm gonna move the position back up. And what I'm even gonna do is actually at that 0 point position, I'm gonna bring up a guideline there. Get rid of all these guidelines that I don't need. Basically, I'm going to align this guideline to the anchor point. See that point there? That's the anchor point of this null. This is where our hand is rotating from this point that I set earlier. So I now know that this is when it's up, it's gonna go down. See, what I'm trying to see is how far away this point is from its original position. So that's too high right now. See, what I'm basically looking at is this cross point. Just focus on that as I scrub. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3. See how that looks? Okay, so I think I'm gonna keep tweaking my easing. I think that this needs to go a little faster towards the beginning. And I think that overall that's a little slow. So 1, 2, 3. And if you want to know the secret to good animation, it's all in the details. So just keep fine-tuning and tweaking and tuning and tweaking. This is why I find it kind of hard to make these tutorials, because there is no magic formula that I can give you in a minute or 10 seconds. It's basically watching me silently repeating this animation and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. So I'm never sure if I should be fast forwarding these parts or if I should be going through them and explaining them in detail and talk through them. So please do let me know in the comments. Actually, I'd really like to hear what you would like, because these videos are for you. So would you rather I keep these videos very short and I just hit the key points and you can just watch these in like 5 minutes and you get the general idea? Or would you prefer a longer video where I show my process and I explain my thought process and I explain why I tweak and stuff? Let me know. And so while I wait for you guys to comment, I'm going to fast forward as I keep tweaking. Tip that I do find useful, especially when you're animating icons. It usually looks pretty big on your screen, but if you want to gain a new perspective on this animation, for example, I've been looking at it repeat and repeat and repeat and I can't really quite tell, you know, what else it needs. A trick that I find that's helpful is to zoom out. So I'm going to zoom out and make it quite small, and now this is closer to what you'll see on an iPhone screen or on a website, especially if it's like an emoji. And actually, if it's an emoji and an icon, it can actually be a lot smaller. So I make it even smaller and see, you know, is the message coming across? What kind of feeling are we getting? Is this happy enough, or is this sad enough, or is this dramatic enough? I'm gonna give a little jiggle to that wrist and palm. Now we're gonna keep that very slight. I don't need the hand to go like that, because you know it's more like powerful, thumbs up, yes. So just a little. So I basically aligned keyframes to the animation keyframes up top here. So and I'm going to push this down just a tiny bit. Let's see. So what I like to tackle now is the thumb movement. I like when the thumb goes up, that the thumb, like, how do I explain it? It stretches a little like this, and then it comes back. See what I mean? So we're just gonna, so as it comes up, it's just gonna stretch a little more so that we have a bit of elasticity in this hand. And now that is a little tricky because I'm gonna show you here what I have. If I were to move one of these path points, maybe not that one, see how I have several layers here that all follow the same path point. So I'm gonna have to make sure that I move the path point on the initial thumb first, and then I'll have to copy what I'm animating on that path point to all the ones with the gradients that are applying gradients to that thumb as well. Otherwise, we'll see that the shapes are mismatched. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna turn off all of these green ones, because basically those are all the gradients. I'm gonna go to this palm layer, and we're gonna go to its path layer. So there we go, there it is. And I'm going to keyframe it. So this is where it goes down. So I'm gonna add a keyframe there. And as it goes up, there, that's the highest point, right? Because from there it's gonna start coming down. So at its highest point, I'm gonna modify that path, and then as it comes down here. So all I need to change, or all I'm hoping to have to change, is just this keyframe. So I'm going to select the pen tool here, select your path layer, and I'm gonna have to make this another color because it's yellow on yellow, so I can't see those paths. So I can't see those points very well. I'm just gonna make it red, so yeah, I can see those points a little better. Okay, so let's see, how am I gonna do this? These guys, so the points that are on this side, and maybe even this guy, are gonna move a little to the left. So 1, 2, I'm gonna deselect this guy. 1, 2, deselect this guy. 1, 2. Let's see. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna copy this keyframe here, because I want to be able to, scrub between them. See how that moves? Okay, now it doesn't make sense on this side. These points have to, these two guys have to shift a little bit, so make sure that your curves are nice though. See that little dip? That's not very nice. This takes a bit of time and patience, but it's all in the details. Essentially, animation is about being super OCD about details. Alright, I want to see this in action. Okay, I think that the thumb needs to come back to its position here. I also think that those points need to go down a little. And I'm gonna want that to hold as well. Let's try 6 frames. It's a bit too much, maybe 4 frames. Alright, let me add some easing to that path animation. So this is what we have right now. think it's a bit much. That tip is going out a little too much. Pretty much what we have. Now let me show you what to do with the path layers. These 3 shape layers have the same path point, but this one, so basically this one only contains the palm. It doesn't contain the wrist. However, these guys, let me flash that red. There we go. See, it contains the wrist as well. So I can't copy my path points. So it's going to take an extra step of me moving these points to align with the yellow points. So I just need to do this once for this guy. Takes a bit of time, but that's how it is with animation at the moment anyway. So I'm just going to make sure that, oops, these points align. Okay, I am also going to copy the easing. I have this plugin called Ease Copy. Amazing plugin, highly recommend this to everyone. And all I have to do basically is just select the keyframes that I need to copy the ease from, click copy, select the ones I need to paste to, click ease, and boom, we have them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy those keyframes, hold that, click on that path keyframe where you need to paste the new path to, and if we check now, see how they all align. All right, let's play through our final animation. Ta-da! Alright, so looking at it now, I feel like it's pretty good. It has the idea and the energy that I wanted it to have. I think it still needs a bit of tweaking in the easing and the timing, and it's going to need me to spend quite a bit of time. The more experienced you are at animation, the better you'll get. But I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm probably going to go take a break, go eat some dinner or something, and I'll come back to it tomorrow. And with a fresh pair of eyes, we'll see if I notice anything that I want to change or if I have any ideas. But I think that for this video, the idea there is enough. We move the hand, we move the wrist, we move the thumb. Oh, but you know what? Actually, I almost forgot. Let's export it and see. I was gonna end the video and I forgot to export it. Okay, so let's go and grab Body Movin'. Where are you, buddy? Body Movin'. There you are. I'm gonna move it here to the right. Okay. So I'm going to select a destination folder, and I'm going to name it Thumb for now, and let's render. So what I do to preview my animation is I go to lottie-files.com. I know that they do have a plugin inside After Effects. However, I downloaded it at the very beginning, and I think there were a few bugs, so I haven't reused it since. But I use lottiefiles.com a lot with my clients. They usually want to be able to preview several versions of the animations, and it's easy for me to grab a link. I'll show you that very quickly. So I'm going to grab this JSON that I just exported, and I'm going to drag it to Lottie Files, the website. There we are. So if I were to grab a link for my clients, this is the link that I would go in and grab, and they're able to preview it as well as download it. So the download button isn't here yet, but they'd be able to download it or preview it with the QR code on their mobile device. And there you go, we have the animation in a JSON file. So now you can just copy paste it into your code and you'll be able to make it interactive. You know, when you click, it animates, or maybe several of them explode. I don't know, up to you. I hope that this was a lot of fun for you guys or helpful in any way. I know this is going to sound very cheesy, but give this video a thumbs up. If you like this video, this way I know that this is the type of content that you like to see more of. Please feel free to leave any comments or any suggestions in the comments section. This channel is new. I'm new to YouTube. I don't really know what you guys would like to learn or to see from me. So, but if you have any tips, any suggestions, please let me know. Tell me how I can improve. Tell me how I can help you more. These videos are made for you guys, and I want you to be able to derive as much value as possible from these. And likewise, if you want to see more animation related videos, hit the subscribe button. I do have a few more videos coming up. They're a bit different. They're mostly going to be 2D hand-drawn animation, sketching, and animating, basically animating an animation video from start to finish, writing the story, creating the characters and stuff like that. So it's going to be a little different, so look out for that. Oh, and of course, if you do animate something like this based on this tutorial, please tag me somewhere in Instagram or in the comments here or on Twitter or wherever. I would love to see. Thank you so much for watching this video. Once again, my name is Issei. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.
We're moving close together, wanna make your body mine. And I say, oh, it's a night we'll both remember.